everyone. I have my things, I have my dice, and I'm looking forward to your impressions of the last session that you can talk to Philip about.
So, take turns, everybody for themselves.
Yeah, I think that would be best to get everyone's story.
Okay, so I was on my way to meet Carnation because I wanted to ask her a couple of questions about that kind of abduction of myself. And I couldn't find her, and somebody told me she has inquired or she was intending to go to the tower of Lady de Bazarat. Because that lady obviously has riches and riches, and since she inquired about that tower, she was never seen or heard of again. So I went to that tower and I observed how some people brought the statue out of the tower, something like that, and destroyed it and just like trash pushed it over the rim of the
Maps are very useful.
yeah, of the rim, over the rim of this little kind of mountain where the tower is located. At first I was afraid that was Carnation, but when I checked on those pieces of stone lying down there, it wasn't her. So now that's where I am, and I want to know more about that lady and her riches before I set a foot close to that castle tower again.
Okay.
So that's as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I've been promoted to priest, and I'm sharing a small temple in I think it was the eastern part of town. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, that's not the whole city, that's just the
Okay.
two neighborhoods.
Okay,
See the one with the square, like the squarish temple? Yeah, that's your neighborhood.
okay, yeah. So somewhere in this neighborhood, I'm sharing a small lawful temple with the good priest Osmorn, who is much more handsome than me, and probably better with people. And there has been some...
It depends on what you want to do with the people,
Yep.
as we have demonstrated.
Yes,
Yeah.
some interactions I'm better at.
Can I get violence?
Yes. So there's been some form of chaotic outbursts in the neighborhoods. So I went to investigate, and I found a man slowly or quickly, quickly I would say, turning into a tree.
From a tree standpoint, it was quick.
Quick, absolutely, but not instant. So slowly, from his perception, it was probably bad.
Slowly for a human,
yeah.
fast for a tree. It was a nice split, I think.
And I managed to find out that he visited a really bad inn or tavern in the area. And when
there was a bunch of stalls, open air stalls.
Okay,
right.
Yeah.
You were in kind of a markety.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Many different little wooden structures. Like that, strangely.
And when I arrived, some things happened. There was a slight outburst of violence and some light electrocution. And that's about where I ended. I left that area and went back to the temple, or towards my temple.
Okay. Did you see the message that I put on Discord? Yes,
and that was a 20.
Yeah, I know. Well, a number of strange, undirected or strange effects were occurring very rapidly, one after the other. Some were harmless and some were not. One of the least harmless was a lightning bolt, and he rolled very nicely to save and not be struck by the lightning bolt. And then when I reviewed the rules for lightning bolts, I realized that a save means you take half damage. So he got a little roasted. And sadly, remember his really nice new
purple and black robes.
More
like black now.
Stylish. Yeah.
I got 2 henchmen now, and I have a temple. Well, not a temple, but Is the temple moved to my new place?
Well, the idea is that you have
Your own.
you have
My own
they're
place.
appropriating. Yeah, that building is now being renovated so that the little garage shed place doesn't have to be home anymore. So they figured if they cleaned out the evil from there, that they can have it. So the city disagrees and thinks that a lot of payments and fees and many other things might be useful for this.
No problem with
yeah.
taxes.
Yeah.
And I also tried to greet my neighbor. It's not labeled, but it's there.
It's the place where the baboons came from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the place that had with spikes on the fence that were pointed inwards, so the feet don't come out.
Exactly. Yeah. And they did come out for a little while and said hello to you guys earlier.
Yeah.
And Hort demonstrating his amazing goodwill toward all living things, apparently.
I left them candles.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't really appreciate them. It's all right.
And so we will get back to you because you had the least action. Milo, how about your adventures or beginnings of adventure?
Well, there isn't that much to talk about. There was the baboons.
Briefly, well, you talked to
Yeah.
the tax guy first. Neil Midvig.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
That didn't go very well. He scared the tax guy. By accident. By accident. He was actually being pretty reasonable, but he's pointed out that both of these characters being half orcs and low-ish charisma, not dreadful, but low-ish. Think of two kind of brutal thugs who, even when they try to be friendly, seem friendly, So that's how everyone else sees them. It's a prejudice.
Yes.
So but then you were put, however, on task.
Yeah. So currently I am on a mission with the Bloodhawks.
Yes, the fighting guild or mercenary band called the Bloodhawks, which contracts to the city for various security problems in and around the city. Both these characters have to do their time. Actually, you might as well. You might sometimes as well. Yeah.
So I'm fighting some kind of human fish called in the middle of nowhere.
Right. This is on the edge of the city on the seacoast, but that part of the city has been abandoned and apparently ruined and overrun by the water, which might sound kind of familiar.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that might look kind of familiar.
Yes, it does.
And so we are not dealing with the sunken temple fortress, well, the sunken fortress that you may or may not have been in, but
Definitely wasn't.
But rather that big pyramid structure. And over there at that corner, there is now a battle going on with the fish people coming out of the water. And don't forget the other people who are much less fish-like coming out of down the steps of the pyramid. So you are in charge of a particular squad whose job is to take out leaders in the battle to try to break the morale of the fish people fighting. That is you have not been told the grand strategy yet. So you are actually in the middle of a scary battle situation. To be very clear, there is a squad of spearmen coming who have taken up formation in the area with the pillars before the temple, although not quite there yet. The fish people have swarmed out of the water, actually from the middle. Remember the middle?
Mm-hmm.
The deep spot?
Yeah.
Yes.
They have swarmed out of there and they are attacking, and they have some crossbows and they have some, what was the other things they had? Light crossbows, I had a whole list here. Right, lances, I believe, and crossbows. And then the spearmen of the Bloodhawks have engaged them, but you and your squad, who are armed with longswords and axes, have been waiting behind that great big rock, and are supposed to wade into that fight, seeking out the leaders. That's your mission. And at the meanwhile, there are the people coming down those stairs in the pyramid, who are very alarming looking, and they seem to be, well, at least one of them seems to be directing aspects of the battle. And they don't look too concerned at the moment. One other thing that you would have noticed as a skilled fighter is that sort of off the map, perhaps behind this thing, the Bloodhawks have been constructing wagons and equipment that are built to get close to a structure to protect the efforts of fighters against a walled structure. This is not, however, a fortress. Well, it is, I guess, but it's not built in the same way as a medieval fortress. And there's the nature of the ground and everything. There's just no way to do long-term mining and sapping and things like that. We are talking about some kind of a structural assault that is more, how am I going to put it? More small scale and more direct. So seeing if they can find a weak point to ram or something like that.
So,
But it would be a handheld swung ram. So it's not that great.
Yeah.
So, especially because this pyramid looks like it has been here for a long time. I'm sorry, did you have a question? Or
no, you just answered it.
I was lucky. Okay, so we have lots of things to do. The first is to catch you up on your situation.
Yeah, I was being taught like a neutral good.
Yes, you were. And you are being trained to go back to the temple of the little good god and to say that you have been reconsidering your life choices and would like to join and learn. And you are to be there and pass information along to your superiors here every so often. But otherwise, you are to be the best good little convert possible, as you have already demonstrated. You actually literally did nothing terrible. The only clue that they had that you weren't such a good guy was that the sprites didn't like you.
Yeah.
And that was it. So you have been told that that will not be a problem from now on. You're not sure why.
Okay. I assume I've been healed also between.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you. I have been at full health in the start.
Now, without going into the numbers, I have reviewed the Arrow of Slaying, and it has 4 charges. I believe you have shot it just once, correct?
Yes.
So you have 3 charges left. The charges used, hit or miss. But when you hit, it really makes a difference. Against a chaotic creature, it is an instant kill. So therefore, I made a mistake by having him roll the damage. We were lucky because the damage was enough to kill him, but technically you shouldn't have had to roll damage. It would have, if you hit a chaotic creature with that, it will die. Which is pretty powerful, actually.
Yes.
So a murderous kill, basically. I can't use this, I shoot an arrow.
That's what they gave it for,
Yeah.
right? They said, sometimes the holy creatures are a little difficult to convince of the right path, and it's kind of the H.P. Lovecraft thing. We're working on it. Oh, that one didn't work. Dang. Okay.
Right. And
or just I cast no alignment.
That's, well, possibly. Do you have no alignment?
No, I think it's a second level spell, and I don't have it.
Right. It's a very useful spell. The sprites have it automatically, you see. Now, we are to say that you have begun this process. You have presented yourself. If I'm going to assume all these things unless you tell me that you're going to do something different. So I will keep talking until you say, stop right there. So my understanding is that you would come to the temple, the little shrine, and you would, introduce yourself. You will say, I disposed of this necrophidious thing to people I considered my superiors, but I have now reconsidered my life and I'm interested in this. You are not alone in this. There are two guys there looking like common laborers who are also working around the place and cleaning things up and hoisting, scrubbing stones of substances inside that building and things like that, and generally working around. And so clearly the place has been attracting people. In the daytime, that tree is kind of sad looking. Remember, it was really beautiful there for a few minutes, but now it just looks like a half-dead, wasted tree. But Olver is very happy to greet you and says everybody deserves a chance. Everybody deserves, every time you go into that shrine area, though, the sprites are complaining. And Olver, sternly speaks into the air and says, we should never. Nobody's moral fate is determined. So, and the good will always prevail, he pauses, eventually.